Today we will talk about the Parasail and the new generation Parasailor, both of which are exceptionally unique and captivating sails. Follow me. As you heard before the intro, today we will discuss the difference between two sails, the Parasail and the Parasailor, two models of the same sail. We're looking at a bow sail here, which is particularly large and akin to a spinnaker, and it's uniquely identified by having a substantial opening at the top. Equipped with a wing, a true wing, indeed, and we will examine its intended use and observe how the sail behaves. However, before we move forward, I must thank Spartivento, one of the leading charter companies in Italy. They are acknowledged as a leading importer of Lagoon and Beneteau brands in our country, providing essential support for us during the production of this video. So now I'm heading over to the boat to talk about the two sail, and I'll leave you for a quick 30 seconds in their company, giving them the chance to explain what they do, and see you right after.
Spartivento is one of the leading boat and catamaran rental and sales companies in Italy. We have 120 boats spread across 6 charter bases from Sicily to Tuscany. With our 10 offices, we are Beneteau, Jeanneau, and Lagoon dealers. Spartivento, nautical experts since 2001.
Discussing the Parasail and Parasailor Istex sails, we must mention we are talking about FB Yachting and the historic importer of these sails in Italy. They are the ones who discovered them, and they are still the ones who market them in Italy today. On behalf of FB Yachting, we're joined by Ezio Grillo. Hi, Ezio.
Hi, Maurizio.
So, Ezio, we're here to clarify the difference between the two models, Parasail and the new generation Parasailor. But before we start explaining the difference, I would like you to illustrate to our viewers what is a sail from Istec, what is a new generation Parasailor or a Parasail? What are the main characteristics?
Certainly with pleasure. So the fundamental idea behind all of our sails is that it was the original one, designed specifically to address the core challenge of standard sails, like spinnakers and genakers, symmetrical and asymmetrical. The broaching and the wipeout, that is the loss of control under gusts, a traditional sail. As we're all aware, the sail captures a specific quantity of wind, but when gusts hit, it then struggles to release it. So you need to start by pumping to preserve stability, but at some point it just can't anymore. The sails we use are designed with an opening at the point of greatest pressure, which allows the air to escape. And this outflow is then harnessed by a wing that acts as the true engine of the entire system, that creates a forward and upward pull. Let's estimate it at about a 45-degree angle. This pull is very positive and beautifully well balanced, which allows us to maintain a consistent speed in full harmony without sacrificing any tranquility.
And you think that the boat is really very stable. I've tried it several times, and each time I was pleasantly surprised. Consider that you don't open the mainsail. You could just go ahead and open the Parasail or the new generation Parasailor, and you possess the ability to sail autonomously for hundreds of miles on autopilot without any additional intervention, assuming of course that the wind conditions remain constant, to such an extent that a considerable number of boats taking part in the ARC, which is the transatlantic competition for sailing aficionados, they hoist a new generation Parasailor at the start and proceed to lower it once they arrive at the opposite side of the ocean.
It's true, absolutely. It has become quite standard now, not only in the Arc but also in these types of crossings. We have got various people who consistently use our sails even for extended round-the-world trips. But ultimately they are just sails that, thanks to their unique and distinctive characteristics, are extremely versatile. So even in the Mediterranean, they naturally find a very intelligent, safe and fun use.
Another question I have, a spinnaker. I'm
Yes.
not really fond of using the spinnaker because while I'm sailing, usually I'm the only one who, unless my family comes with me, I'm the only one who understands it. I must do everything alone. I struggle a lot. And this sail has the problem that if I'm distracted, sometimes when wind picks up, this situation often leads to broaching, a consequence I personally find quite disagreeable. Not all recreational boaters like it, so there are very few boaters who use the spinnaker. Why is it that the spinnaker causes a broach and the new generation Parasailor or the Parasail remains stable?
Imagine that this here is the wind, and that there is a force, and this is a spinnaker or even a gennaker, a traditional sail, and when wind arrives as a powerful force, and this force is spread across the sail's entire surface with a series of vectors shooting in all directions. When the wind picks up strength, it's unable to vent starting from the sides, so these vectors are shooting out from all parts. So it further increases, and the only method to vent this force is the masthead. So it collapses, it broaches, it wipes out. We have said that we don't have a wide opening, so the force consistently shows up. And this particular opening systematically generates a flow with this force, or wind if you prefer, being effectively directed towards the wing. The wing creates a large, unique vector. That vector dominates all the possible small vectors on the sail and has a forward upward pull. And the flow remains, so if the wind keeps increasing, the flow is there. And we don't reach the extremes.
The more
that
the
we
wind
saw
increases,
before.
the more stable the sail
The
becomes?
truly extraordinary aspect is this, particularly with the new generation Parasailor, because ultimately it possesses a high limit. New generation Parasailor, the more the wind increases, the more it is stable and the more stable the boat is.
Okay, at this point, let's shift our focus and start to look at the distinct differences between the Parasail, which is the sail that costs less, and the new generation Parasail, which instead is the model that costs more.
So as you aptly mentioned, the primary distinction indeed lies in the cost. Building a parasail wing is considerably cheaper than constructing a new generation Parasailor wing. In Parasail we have a single skin wing. With the new generation Parasailor we're equipped with a sophisticated hybrid wing that's partly a single skin and partly made up of structural cells. So the Parasail essentially functions as a two-dimensional wing. New generation Parasailor is a three-dimensional wing.
Is it like a paraglider, basically?
It's quite similar to a paraglider, and as you're aware, the lift of a wing comes from, especially by the
Especially due to
thickness,
its thickness.
as well as from the cut. And so, by having a three-dimensional wing, you can work on both the thickness and the shape to achieve the performance you want.
So is it a more powerful sail?
Indeed, it's a more powerful
It's more
wing.
powerful.
It's a considerably more powerful wing, but thanks to the single skin part, it manages to stay active even with little wind. And
Are they two different uses?
so in fact, yes, the distinction in usage between the two sails is actually in the wind strength. So let's start by saying that from now on, we only discuss apparent wind. So both sails share the common feature of having an extremely wide wind range, ranging from 60 to 180 degrees, which means from broad reach to full stern, with or without a spinnaker pole. We use it without a spinnaker pole. Both are very easy to use and stable. Both begin with merely 5 knots of apparent wind and then gradually increase. The key difference lies in the ultimate limit. In the Parasail we find a limit that is roughly 5 knots greater compared to that of a traditional sail. I'll throw out an idea.
If a traditional sail reaches around 20, this one reaches around
It could reach
25.
25. This is the idea,
Okay.
depending on the boat, size, crew,
Yes,
among a few
yes.
things. We say the new generation Parasailor has at least 10 knots more speed compared to a traditional sail, yet that's not really the only difference. The actual difference is that while the Parasail has a definitive limit, it's the sail itself that eventually signals it's reached its maximum. The true limit of new generation Parasail I've never found. It's us who at a certain point have to say, we close this sail because there's too much wind. The more wind it takes, and this is the thing that seems paradoxical, the more stable it is and the more stable the boat is.
Perfect.
I want to add that these sails naturally do not get opened with these strong winds. You might find yourself in them. So when we're talking about usage with strong winds, it's not about pushing our customers into doing crazy things. It's really about suggesting that it's a matter of safety. When you find yourself in these conditions, instead of going crazy and having panic on board, you manage it. With indecision,
Because there's
I
no
cannot
longer
decide.
the need to rush and
There's
take
nothing
it down.
left. I can't make up my mind, given the seamanship culture, on when to shut it down or not.
Very well. Listen closely, there's yet another aspect. I have a friend who's been deeply involved with parasailing for numerous years. And now I've come to realize he's doing business with you. the new generation Parasailor. Why is this sail changing?
So the original Parasailor models, which are two distinct generations, Parasailor 1 and Parasailor 2, with minor enhancements, had a limitation in light winds. That is, when it was created, we immediately realized that with little wind it couldn't. It actually needed a nourished wind 8 to 10 knots to enter performance. So we developed the Parasail in its era, and the range was as follows. Starting with 5 knots of apparent wind, the Parasail would then proceed to enter, with 8 to 10 knots of apparent wind would take over as the Parasail fades out. The Parasail along with the Parasailor would continue on. So it was mainly a sail for areas known for strong winds, but in spots like mine, the Gulf of Tagulio, where there are normally light winds, it was a sail that found its limits. Indeed, I had a Parasail. The new generation Parasailor was born and therefore completely covers the Parasail. Both start with 5 knots of apparent wind, then the Parasail dies down and the new generation
loses
Parasail
momentum,
goes on.
right?
Today, I myself sold my Parasail, and I got myself the new generation Parasail so I can use it. In the tranquil Gulf of Tagulio, and even in Sardinia, without feeling the regret of not possessing it. And yes, it's indeed the most adaptable sail around, without a doubt. It's the sail with the widest range of use that exists.
Okay, just one final question. Using a standard sail, when I'm sailing upwind and the wind starts to strengthen, and the boat begins to lean over increasingly with a parasail or a parasailor, so with this lifting effect, does the boat lean less?
It leans less, yes, it straightens up. And as a result, you also get an additional effect, which is having the keel with a significantly larger exposed surface, so you experience less leeway.
Oh, that's great. With this, I hope that I've clearly and effectively illustrated to you adequately the distinction between the two sails, including what distinguishes a parasailor from a parasail. I'll repeat myself, the sail has always thrilled me, and I hope you liked it too. If you find the video interesting, please let us know and don't forget to give us your like. At this point, all that remains is to thank Spartivento for their help for offering their boats and their experienced skippers, who were the perfect fit for what we needed in order to make this video. Ezio Grillo for the expert advice you provided.
Thank you so
very
much.
much. And likewise to you for your attention. And I'll be seeing you soon in the upcoming video featuring SVN SoloVelanet.